My name is Carlton Cartwright. I'm the Executive Director for Governor's Memorial and Multicultural Histories. We're at Riviera Beach Preparatory Achievement Academy today, and I got 3 of my students with me, Fastal, Amari, and what's your first name? Christopher. Elazier, right? Got it. All right, and sir, what is your name?
My name?
Yep.
Which one?
How many you got?
As many as necessary. Oh, my name, Aaron Augustus.
Okay, and you still working as a comedian?
Yes, part-time.
I was curious.
I do stand down.
When's
No,
your
stand
birthday? Stand down?
Yeah.
That's a new one.
April 19th, 1941. Matter of fact, you missed my birthday party.
Where was that?
That's the undisclosed location.
You didn't call me, exactly. So, now, what city do you live in?
Born?
What city do you live in now?
Oh, living now, Boynton Beach.
Where were you born, anyway?
A little small town in South Carolina.
Okay. What branch
Sally,
of the...
Sally, South Carolina, to be exact.
Okay, what branch of the service were you in?
U.S. Army.
Okay, and why did you join the Army versus the other 3?
I didn't have a
branches?
choice. It was post for service, otherwise known as draft.
What year was that, Aaron?
1963, December 63.
Got you. Okay. So you were drafted, and
Yes.
you were living in South Carolina?
No, I'd moved to Florida when I was 7 years old,
Uh-huh.
and I was in Titusville, Florida, where we moved to, and that's where I was drafted from.
Okay. All right. And what year was that again? 1963?
Yes.
Got you. All right. Were you aware of the other branches of service? Did you have to go in the Army, or could you have gone into a different one if you desired?
Well, I was considering joining the Marines
Uh-huh.
because my uncle was a Marine, and his older, I guess, brother, cousin was in the Navy, so I was well aware of those services.
Right. So, but you wanted to go in the Army?
I wasn't given a choice. I was drafted, so.
Got you. Okay. All right, where was basic training?
Fort Jackson,
In what state?
that's South Carolina.
Uh-huh. And how long was basic training?
Basic training was December 27, 63 until the last of February, I think, February or March.
Okay.
I finished and went to Fort Benning for AIT.
So how many weeks was that? Was it?
8 weeks of
Right.
basic training, I believe.
And AIT, where'd you do that?
Fort Benning,
In Georgia?
yes, in Georgia,
Uh-huh.
Fort Benning,
And-
Georgia.
And what was your AIT?
11 Bravo, infantry.
Infantry?
Yeah.
Hmm. How long did that last?
AIT was, I guess, 8 weeks, 12 weeks.
So, did you take a break? First of all, were there any casualties throughout basic training and through your AIT? Anybody get hurt? Any fatalities?
Nobody, not at basic training.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And AIT, none. But during my subsequent training assignment, there were 11 casualties.
Where was that?
I was at Fort Benning.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And what were the incidences?
It was the only one incident. Let me give you a little history. When I finished AIT, I was assigned to 1st Battalion, 38 Infantry, or Indian Head Patch, originally.
Okay.
And briefly, and we became a training regiment for the 11th Air Assault, which was using helicopters. So during that period, 2 choppers collided with the full crew on both and with the 2 squads out of my company. So there were actually 18 casualties, and that included the 2 squads and the crew chief of the helicopter. So 2 pilots, a crew chief, and each pilot, 6 guys, plus 2 squads.
Anybody survive?
Nobody survived.
Nobody.
No survivors. No.
Jeez. Okay, so where was your first duty base after training?
That was my duty base, Fort Benning. Once after we finished the training and the 11th Air Assault concept was flying choppers into combat, we became the first air cav. So the 11th Air Assault phased out, and they brought the colors from Korea, the first cav colors to Korea, and they exchanged to 2 units. So then the 11th Air Assault became the first cav division.
Okay.
In the head, the first cav patch.
Okay, so you entered in 63. What year did you separate?
May 66.
Okay, what was your rank when you separated?
Specialist 4th class, SP4.
Okay, did you deploy anywhere at all?
Yes, they deployed to Vietnam.
Ma'am?
Once the colors of Korea came to Fort Benning and we became the first air cav, within about 2 weeks of becoming the first air cav, we were on C-130s heading for Vietnam.
So how long were you in Vietnam?
Let's see, what did they say? Was it September, about 6 months? September, October, November, December, came out in December.
Okay.
About 5 or 6 months.
Can you tell us about the tour? What was Vietnam like at that time?
Hot weather, a lot of jungle, a lot of helicopter flights in and out of landing zones, a lot of walking.
Okay, so you considered to be a combat veteran?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
yes.
So what kind of engagements did you have while you were there with the other side? I don't really want to call them the enemy.
They were.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Actually, it's sort of difficult to describe. I'll give you a typical day
Right.
of what we did. We would get up, suit up. We were living in tents, pup tents, in pub tents, 2 guys per tent. We would eat chow, sea rations. We would load up, make sure you had enough ammunition, grenades, and we would get on the choppers and go to an LZ. We would land, get off, and whatever the mission was of that day, it was to patrol 200 or 300 meters into the jungle looking for the enemy. That's what we would do.
200 or 300 meters?
That's to start with. Well, we're going to go 200 clicks to the northwest, and we may see what we can find. It's just missions.
So how many people were in what were you in, a company or a battalion or what?
Charlie Company was a company.
Okay, how many people were in the company?
Coming about 120, I believe.
Okay.
4 squads of about 4 platoons rather.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How many people in the platoon? About 10?
No, that's a squad. So we have 4 squads in a platoon. So that's about 45 people.
In a platoon?
Yeah.
Okay. So it was all like spread out?
It'll be the company with the 4 platoons, and we'll have I guess they would get the mission from battalion headquarters. And whatever, we just would get up and follow orders. If we're gonna land in LZ, LZ Falcon, and march and go on patrol maybe for 4 days, 5 days a week, and get resupplied by choppers. And that was our mission from day to day, except if there was, I guess what is that now? A battle, there was resistance. We would either assist or just wait until there was an order to go in and assist the other unit.
Okay.
If you remember the movie We Were Soldiers, that was it. That was essentially what we did.
I missed that one.
Couldn't have missed it.
We Were Soldiers, I missed that movie.
Oh, yeah, right, okay, well.
No.
Anyway,
I know you didn't miss doing your job.
No, it was the story of the Idrang battle.
Okay.
That's where there were about, I don't know, a brigade, maybe 2 brigades of North Vietnamese regulars. And the 7th Cav came in contact with that North Vietnamese unit. And the story is about, the story is about the whole concept of flying into combat in helicopters. And it told a story from Fort Benning up to the Battle of the Idrang.
Okay. So, but I need to, what was your experience?
My job primarily was I was in the first squad of the first platoon.
Okay.
We were always the lead platoon. So if the company went out, it was always Charlie Company and then the first platoon. And I was in the first squad. And then I was on the point. So I was the first man in the lead platoon. And we were always up front. And it's imagine yourself going through the jungle and you were the lead man. So your job is to make sure that you don't hit any booby traps. You don't make too much noise. So you were the eyes of the whole company.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a little eerie, a little frightening, but you do your job.
Okay. Okay, so in your company, were there any fatalities?
Yes. Matter of fact, they happened, I think, actually right the day of when the 7th Cav had their conflict, they lost on them, but 60% of their guys. We were in one particular area of the valley, and we were just on a search and destroy. We found them, we destroyed them, and we came upon a base camp, and there was about one guy in the squad, in a platoon, saw, I guess, an enemy in a foxhole. He pulled his grenade, and before he could throw his grenade, the VC threw out we call it a concussion grenade, just made a lot of noise. And when it exploded, Cooper, I guess, released his own grenade and it blew up.
Jeez.
Then there was 2 other guys got hit with shrapnel and took on enemy fire.
Mm-hmm.
And that was our casualties from that particular incident. So we lost 1 guy, and 1 KIA, and 2 other guys from incoming fire.
So
3.
what did you call those missions? Was it like going on reconnaissance or just missions?
Recon, search and destroy.
How many of those
primary
missions
search and
did
destroy.
you participate in over the 6-month period that you were in Vietnam? Every
can't-
day?
We would go out for maybe 4 or 5 days, maybe
Oh.
a week, and come back in. So numerous, I really can't count them. We were just out whenever they said we're gonna go out tomorrow morning at maybe 0800, and then search and destroy, and then we get picked up, moved to a new LZ, get picked up and go back to the base camp, resupply, refresh, take a day off, and then we out again. So it was constant.
Okay. Over the 6-month period, did you get any R&R out of there?
Yes, matter of fact, at R&R, we pulled it was a night mission. So we got an order to go and search and destroy. It was at night, and we had to walk for, I don't know, like we walked all night. And I was on the point, so my reward for not leaving to an ambush, I got 2 days R&R in Pleiku, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where did you get to go?
Pleiku.
Was that in Vietnam?
Yeah, it's like this. It was the pearl. I guess they call it. The pearl of Vietnam is it's like a beach town, and everybody went there for R&R.
Okay.
Yeah, was it Pleiku? I think it was Pleiku. Yeah, and everybody went. It was right on the beach, and it was even the North Vietnamese went there for R&R.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think Pleiku wasn't part of the. No, but there was no battles there until the end of the conflict. It was always like a peace place for everybody to go. That was unofficial though, but it's just that there was never any conflicts there.
Did you have anything to do with battle planning?
No,
Okay.
we just followed the orders.
And you were, by the grace of God, you weren't a prisoner of war?
No.
Good. Okay. All right. What about engaging with the people who lived on the economy? What was that like over,
Actually, we were where we originally set up base camp. Was they later called it Camp Radcliffe. Radcliffe was the name of where the first guy was set up initially at a little town called Arnkay. That's where we were, and we would go into town when we had the time off. We'd go into town, and it was interesting because there was a tavern or bar. It was called New York Far East, and you walk in there and they were playing the Temptations, the Four Tops. It's like you were back in the States.
Right.
And there was Budweiser beer. There was Coke. It's like a piece of the States in Vietnam.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that was downtown.
So you able to go?
Well, not
and look?
downtown. Anca's a little small village, but you got to get a taste of home in Vietnam.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. How did you get along? So after that 6-month period, you came back to the States.
Yeah, we flew back into we stopped in Japan.
For how long?
It's just not enough to go downtown.
For a couple of days.
No, actually just one night. 'Cause we had to go back, and the next day the Air Force flew us out, and we
Okay.
landed at the base in San Francisco.
Okay. Was it Army base?
Army base, yeah, where you get discharged.
Gotcha. Okay.
Uh,
So, well, wait a minute. You didn't. Was that at the? Okay.
I was at the end. My time was up. I got drafted in December
Of 63.
1963, and that was what 65.
Right.
That was coming out.
Okay. Well, hold on. Wait a
December
minute.
65.
So in 63, you went into service.
Yeah.
How long after you enlisted before you went to Vietnam?
So beginning fall in 65.
Oh, you didn't go until 65.
Yeah, 65. Yeah.
So prior to going to Vietnam, were you just training and?
We were training in all of 63. No, all of 64.
Okay.
We were training at Fort Benning.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And what were you training? What did your training consist of?
Consist
Was
of
it weapons,
vehicles,
machinery, jungle warfare?
jungle warfare, being able to rappel out of helicopters at about 100-foot rope.
You weren't a
Long
parachute, were
matches.
you?
No,
Okay.
they had to give us a rope to come out of helicopters on.
Gotcha.
Jungle warfare tactics, and mostly just jungle training in the woods. Yeah.
Okay.
You load up in helicopters, you take off, and the helicopter come in, land, you jump out, maybe at 3 or 4 or 5 feet, and then it would take off. We had to perfect using helicopters to go in and out of combat. That's what we did for a whole year.
Mm-hmm. All right. So on the weekends, while you're going through that training, and I'm sure you got your 30 days off, I guess.
No, I
No?
mean, you would get the weekend off.
You get the
so
weekend off.
You could go downtown Columbus, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
There was we were right near the Alabama border. There's a town called Phoenix City, Alabama.
Right.
Quote, Sin City. So you go to Sin City, hang out there, drink moonshine, because I didn't drink moonshine. It was too strong. But you got the weekend off.
Gotcha.
Unless you were training, but then most of the weekends we were, left to your own devices.
Okay. Besides going downtown, did you visit anywhere else in the States?
No,
you go back
not
home,
really. I didn't go back. No, I think the only time I went home, well, a couple of times. If there's a long weekend, I had a buddy who we would catch a ride to Jacksonville, then I'd catch a bus home. I think I did it 1 or 2 times for a long weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so pretty much, before you went to Vietnam, where else did you, anywhere else that you visited before you went to Vietnam, while you were stationed, doing your training?
No, because my time was our time was pretty much consumed. You get maybe a long weekend. Say I could go home for maybe I think once I went home.
Uh-huh.
I think it was a long weekend. A friend of mine had a car. He drove me to Jacksonville. If in Jacksonville I caught a bus, I was back there in about a day. So no long trips.
Okay. Awards and citations, medals.
Just my 11th Air Assault badge,
Mm-hmm.
which that's the one right here,
Got you.
and then the CIB.
What is that?
That's a combat infantry badge. Once you get, if you're an infantry and you do combat, then they give you a badge.
Okay.
Well, I think you earn that badge.
And you never suffered any, you never got wounded or anything? No Purple
Fell off a
Heart?
bar stool once.
I'm sorry?
Fell off a bar stool once. No injuries, no. No injuries, no, just had Agent Orange from being in the jungle, just Agent Orange, that's it.
Oh,
But
well,
no obvious,
That was enough,
yeah, that's enough, yeah.
right? Okay, so, you separated after you came back from Vietnam.
Came I'm trying to think of the name of the separation station.
In San Francisco?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Went there to be discharged. First night there, had to go on sick call. Had severe fevers, throwing up. And they said, well, look like you could have malaria, but we don't see any symptoms now. Come back tomorrow if you're here, and we'll check you out again. Next night, the same thing. And this time I was, I guess, was severe fevers, and they flew me over, took me from Oakland, Oakland Processing Center, from Oakland across the Bay Bridge to Letterman General Hospital, where I was admitted with malaria.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So it took me, 6 months? That was December, January, February, March, April, May, I was discharged.
May 1966?
Yeah,
Right.
right, yeah.
So what'd you do after the service?
After the service, I just goofed for about a year, just hung out with my buddies, just free world, had a great time. Then it got kind of boring, so I decided to go to A&M, finish my education.
Okay,
I already spent 2 years in junior college, so
let's just go back for a minute. While you were in the military, did you have any problem communicating with your family back home?
no.
No. How did you communicate? Letters, phone calls, what?
A few phone calls, lots of letters.
Okay.
Lots of letters, yeah.
Okay, and that went smoothly. Okay.
Yeah.
So after the service, what did you do? Now, you just told me you used your GI Bill for what? What'd you use it for?
I used for college.
And what'd you get a degree in at A&M?
A&M majored in psychology, yeah, MS, and not MS, bachelor's degree in psychology.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Did you get a master's degree?
Yeah, Pepperdine.
Oh, you did? In what?
Oh, yeah. Human resources management, believe it or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said Pepperdine, did you
University.
do that online or did you go there physically?
No, they had professors to visit.
Okay.
They were doing college down in Boca.
Uh-huh.
So that's where I did my master's degree. Yeah, they flew in professors to do the classes. I did it. I was working full time, but I would do the classes at night, like from 6 to 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was in Boca?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so when you got done with your degrees, or when did you start working a job after you separated?
Oh, I went to A&M. I came out in '68.
Okay.
I got my bachelor's in psychology. Came out in '68, and then I did some job interviews because my minor was social work. So I got a job, had a job interview in Tallahassee. Then I told me to come to West Palm to complete the interview to work for DCF. And I came down, did the interview, and was hired.
So how long did you work for DCF?
Like forever. I think I put in what 28, 30, about 30 years. I think.
30 years?
But, yeah.
Wow. And what was that like?
It was an experience. I started out in Belgrade, and South Bay, and Pahokee, as a service counselor. To make sure that people could apply for whatever service we had, essentially, and just community services worker. And then after that, I transferred. They said, the agency, well, if you have to work in this particular unit, you had to live in Belgrade. So then I said, no, I want to live on, goes on the coast. And then when I came over here, I worked as a juvenile counselor, working with juveniles, dealing with juveniles. And that for about maybe a year or maybe 2 years. And then the hotline for child abuse was established in Florida. And then I became a child abuse investigator.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long did you do that for?
I did about 5 years, about 24, 25 years, because after I left Belgrade and when the hotline was established, I just transferred to DC, well, CPS, and for about 24 years maybe I was a CPS worker.
Where'd you work out of CPS?
Out of the old port center,
Okay.
right across on the port center.
And Riviera Beach?
The old port center, yeah, Riviera Beach, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. How was the food in the service, by the way?
Sir, the food was great.
Okay.
At least I thought it was great.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, now I just recently, whenever we have a reunion, they always serve. You call it SOS.
SOS.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And every reunion has it, man. It's still, to me, it tastes just as good.
Gravy
now
and biscuits, huh?
But yeah, gravy and biscuits. Yeah.
We'll leave the other part out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really good too.
Yeah,
I enjoyed mine.
Yeah.
Use your GI Bill. How did you basically entertain yourself while you were in the service? If, scratch that. Tell me 2 of your most memorable experiences while you were in the military.
Both of them had to do with, in combat, I remember the most not frightening, I guess it wasn't frightening, just, I'll describe to you. We were out on a search and destroy.
Okay.
I was on a point. And I was on that even though I was back in AIT. They put me on point. And I think that's because in basic training, I got a trophy because I did a perfect score on my basic training. At the end, they give you, a test to see how you do. And I maxed the test out. And I think it's, you had to run a mile, you had to go across the monkey bars, 40-yard, low crawl, and a grenade throw. They 5 categories of physical fitness you had to go through. I did all 5 of them and scored a perfect score. And they gave me a little trophy.
Right.
And I'm thinking back, that's why they put me on the point. I was, quote, such a outstanding athlete and all this, so they put me on the point. And I think maybe I should have failed the test and they wouldn't have put me on the point. Anyway, so I was out on the point and we came to a canal about maybe 30 or 40 feet across, and there was a log going across.
Right.
And it was just coming out of the jungle, then a lot of elephant grass. So if you want to get shot and you're a clear target, walk across a log that's across the canal, and you're a perfect target. And I had to go across the log. And I'm saying, well, this could be it. And I remember that to this day. That's the longest 20 or 30 hours I've walked in my life, going across that log.
You got another one of those? That was one, and that was a great one.
Next one actually happened. The chopper crash. Normally, the first squad, when the first one always the lead off, will be the lead in the lead chopper. All right, first squad up, you're next. Choppers will come in and we'll take off. This particular morning, it was like sort of misty, rainy, and it's okay, first squad, you're up. And we go up and we're getting ready to board because the choppers come in and we just make a beeline to the choppers.
Right.
And then take off. And it's okay, first squad, you're up. And then I guess the platoon sergeant says, hold up first. Well, third squad, you're up. First squad, my squad, we step down. Third squad gets on the chopper and they take off. Next thing, Mayday, 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 chopper down. That was the chopper that we were supposed to get on.
Right.
And two choppers glided at a place called Red Pond. Nobody survived.
How many casualties were there?
18. There was 2 squads and the crew chief and the crew, the flight crew of both choppers.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that
Yeah.
account. Okay, so, basically, we, discussed your career already after the service. All right, so I just have a couple more questions.
Okay.
Did your military experience influence your thinking about war or about the military in general?
I guess yes, because I could always, in most arguments and discussions, I always take the soldier's point of view. We follow orders. You know, I mean, whether or not it is political correct for one set of citizens, but the military, you know, we follow orders.
Mhm.
And there's a chain of command.
Right,
You may not like the order, but you still have to follow the chain.
right. Okay. And how did your service and experiences affect your life?
I guess some of the things I learned in the service, patience, loyalty, even to the point of even you learn how to think, you learn how to dress, you learn how to take care of yourself, even as far as in the infantry, they give you a I guess a foot, we call it a foot locker.
Uh-huh,
So everything has to go in that foot locker. You know? So everything has its own little section.
right,
Your T-shirts are folded a certain way. Same thing for your socks. I still have those same habits. You know, everything is because it's so organized.
discipline.
Discipline, yeah, you learn that. Discipline and organization, yeah. Even to shining your shoes, yeah.
Is there anything that you'd like to share with us that you haven't already?
No, not really. I guess if everybody had a chance, I think it should be mandatory that everybody should spend at least a year in the military.
So I guess that's probably your message to young people.
Yes,
Okay,
because if you don't have discipline before you go in, you're not disciplined unless you go to a military school. But I think that was a way of I guess you call it mass training for young people. The service was.
okay.
It was mandatory. So you're going for 2 years, and you may not like those 2 years, but everybody would get something out of it. But now it's no longer mandatory. You know, so even now the soldiers going now, it's voluntary. So the general public don't get to have that military experience.
Gotcha. I want to thank you for a wonderful interview, and I also want to thank you for your service.
Thanks you for having me. Hope it enlightens someone, and maybe they might consider joining the service.
Sounds like a plan. Thanks.
Yeah. All right.